My name is Zahida binti Iskandar, and I will explain about the introduction to the Abbasid Caliphate. The Abbasid Caliphate is the third caliphate to succeed Prophet Muhammad after his passing and after the rule of Khulafa ar-Rashidin and the Umayyah Caliphate. The Abbasid Caliphate ruled the Islamic world from 700 to 1258 AD. It was founded by a dynasty descended from Prophet Muhammad's uncle Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib. The Abbasid Caliphate, which ruled the Islamic world, oversaw the golden age of Islamic culture. It was one of the largest empires in the world, and this meant that it had connection with distant neighbors such as Chinese and Indians in the Eastern world and the Byzantines from West. The Abbasid Caliphate moved the capital of Islamic Empire from the old Umayyah power based in Damascus to a new city, which is Baghdad. Baghdad is currently present-day Iraq. Baghdad was founded in 762 CE by Al-Mansur on the banks of Tigris River. The city was round in shape and designed from the beginning to be a great capital and center of the Islamic world. It was built not far from the old Persian capital, and its location reveals the desire of the dynasty to connect to the Persian culture. The most well-known caliphate of the Abbasid Empire, Harun al-Rashid, is remembered as one of the history's greatest patrons of art and science. Under his rule, Baghdad became the world's most important center for science, philosophy, medicine, education, and general knowledge.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Nurfarzana Afiqah binti Ridzuan. So right now I will presenting on Abbasid Caliphate achievements regarding the development of Islamic science. Okay, Caliph Harun al-Rashid was very concerned about advancing this knowledge. He founded a science institute called Baitul Hikmah as a center for translation, research, and study of library, science, and educational institution. And the result emerged great Muslim scholars from various disciplines such as Imam Abu Hanifah, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Hanbal, and many more. The second development is Hadith science. Hadith science is the study of hadith from circumcision. At the time, great and famous hadith experts and their works emerged, including Imam Bukhari with his book Al-Jami' al-Sahih, as well as known as Sahih Bukhari, Imam Muslim's book, which is known as Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud with his hadith book entitled Sunan Abu Dawud, Ibn Majah with his hadith book Sunan Ibn Majah, At-Tirmidhi and his book Sunan Tirmidhi. As for the medical development, at that time, medical colleges were established so that many medical scholars were produced. For example, we have Ibn Sina, who is a philosopher as well as a medical figure. His very famous book is Al-Kanun fi al-Tib, which is used as a medical guidebook in European universities and Islamic countries. Besides that, we have Hunayn ibn Iskandar, which is an ophthalmologist. His work is on various diseases and many medical books translated from Greek into Arabic. The next one is mathematics. Algebra was significantly developed by Persian scientist Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi. He is thus considered to be the father of algebra, also responsible for introducing the Arabic numerals and Hindu-Arabic numeral system beyond the Indian subcontinent. Besides him, we have Umar Khayyam, who has also produced a book called Treatise on Algebra. Next is astronomy. Astronomy is the study of the travel of the sun, earth, moon, and the stars and other planets. The characters include Abu Mansur al-Falaki and Jabir al-Batani, who was the creator of the first binoculars. During Abbasid dynasty, there are several Islamic philosophers. First one is Ibn Sina. He is a doctor in the city of Hamzah, Persia. who is actively conducting research on various types of diseases. He is also famous for his ideas regarding the concept of all forms of wahdatul wujud, as well as physics and psychologies. Ibn Sina's essay number more than 200 books, which are well known among other, which is Ashifa. This book is a book of philosophy consisting of 4 parts, namely logic, physics, mathematics, and metaphysics. Next one is Al-Farabi. Al-Farabi has written many books on logic, mathematics, physics, metaphysics, chemistry, ethics, and so on. His philosophy of logic, among others, in his book Syarh Kitab al-Ibarah li Aristo. Many of his works were translated into European languages. And the last one is Al-Kindi. He known as the Arabic philosopher, also translated foreign books into Arabic. He has studied various sciences, especially philosophy. Al-Kindi is not only a philosopher, but also an expert in mathematics, astronomy, pharmacology, and so on.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farah. For my part, I will explain about the politics and administration during Abbasid era. First, we go to the politics. During Abbasid era, they defeat the Byzantine Empire. The Islamic and Rome-Byzantine wars referred to the battle between the armies of the Arab Muslims and also the armies of the Byzantine Rome Empire. This war took place during the longest period in the history of human war for 820 years, which is from 633 Masihi to 1453 Masihi. Okay, we move to the administration during the Abbasid era. During the Abbasid era, they practiced the open policy in administration. The Abbasid system of government reflected to the true state of plural society. This system was supported by various nations, especially the Arabs and Persians, as well as other nations. Okay, next, bureaucratic system. In the Abbasid era, in the bureaucratic system, the majority of officers were taken from the Mawali class, which is Muslim who are not of Arab descent. An important position is the Wazir, who is the head of the entire administrative. In the Abbasid administration, several departments were established, such as the accounting department, tax department, and else. Next, we move to central and regional administrations. Okay, the administration of the province is up to the cabinet or Amir that appointed with the consent of the Wazir to manage the affairs of the government. Amir's positions depends on his abilities and relations with the central governments. Amir is under the supervision of Diwan al-Barid. Each province also has its own postal departments, and the Amir is obligated to report all the provincial government's affairs to the head of the postal department in Baghdad. Okay, after that, the military administration and security. In the early stage of Abbasid rule, the Caliph made several changes in his military organization. First, the members of the Abbasid Amir was not limited to the Arabs only. The payment of the allowance and privilege given to Arabs has been abolished except for those who are still in full service. Second, the Abbasid army consisted of regular paid soldiers and volunteer soldiers who only received payment while on the duty in a campaign. Third, the Caliph created a personal army known as the Khurasan army. Fourth, the Abbasid army also consisted of Turkey people from Central Asia. They were creatures who have a social status as a slave. The last is judicial administration. In judicial administration, all the matters are left to the ulama that appointed by the chief judge. The civil matters that relate to the non-Muslim are up to their own religious leaders, while the Muslim matters are handled by the Qadi. The appointment of judges is based on the several conditions such as adults, men, Muslim, sand, and have a knowledge.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nurul Nadia and I will explain on urban construction. The first caliph is Caliph Abu al-Abbas al-Saffar. He established the city of the Abbasiyah as well as get rid of the rebels. The second caliph is Caliph Abu Ja'far al-Mansur. He made Baghdad as capital city and developed it. He also built a beautiful palace. He built a large port in Euphrates River for stopover for ships. He also built water drainage for agricultural areas. And lastly, he provided markets in strategic places. The third caliph is Caliph Harun al-Rashid. He established Baitul Hikmah as science center. He also declared that Baghdad city a center for trade, science and culture. Besides that, he also built a place to observe the star for astronomers. And lastly, he constructed more infrastructure like hospital, institution for studies and pharmacy. The fourth caliph is Caliph al-Mahdi. He built and restored the palace. He also building water ponds along the way for the convenience of travelers and caravan force. And he also ordered to add the building of the Grand Mosque in Mecca. Lastly is Caliph al-Ma'mun. He established two space study centers in Damascus and Baghdad, improving the hospital system and increased the number of hospitals, established a school and providing the facilities to the students.
Hi, I will present about economic development in Abbasid Caliphate. There are few key economic sectors. First is agricultural. The effort made by the Abbasid Caliphate to develop the agricultural sector is first, build water drainage to agricultural area, widen the rivers, ditches and water lines. Third is build a dam to facilitate water flow and opening new agricultural area. And the last one, conduct research in the field of agriculture to improve the quality of products. There are few types of agricultural product such as cereal and fruits. For the next sector is industrial sector. The Abbasid government is known as a developed country in the manufacture industry. So there are few types of industry available at that time. First is glassware. Next is leather goods and weapons. And the last one is paper. For the third sector is trade sector. The rapid growth of manufacture and agricultural has led to progress in the field of trade to the international level. So there are few factors. First is opening new territories that provide plenty of business market space, and the development of the shipping industry make it easier for trade to move. And positive step taken by Abbasid government in developing the trade sector. First, build a business center equipped with well on the main roads. The second one is build lighthouse as a guide for the ships, and the third one is tighten security control on land and sea areas.
One of the achievements in science and technology was astronomy. Astronomy was highly valued in the era because it was related to religion, prayer, timing, travelling and navigation. Al-Tusi and Al-Farghani, two prominent scholars who worked on astronomy, wrote various books. Famous scholar Ibrahim Al-Farazi worked on the usage of the Arminary spera, which is used for the motion of heavenly bodies. Later on, his son worked on stars. Moreover, scholars found the way of calculating celestial distance, the perimeter of Earth and the moon's diameter. Besides it, Muslims worked on trigonometric ratio and formulated new rule and regulation. A table of tangent value was formulated. Some scholars work on the geographical method of qiblat finding, while others took a keen interest in understanding the atmospheric phenomena. Second was medical and surgery field. Muslims translate Greek books on medicines, and Baghdad had a translating center. Based on this translation, Muslims developed new methods to improve medicines. They make use of herbal and other natural material and make exceptional advancements in the medical field. Encyclopedia of Medicine was made. The gravity of tuberculosis was discussed, in adverse effects were explained, and they work on child development as well. Al-Zahrawi invented many instruments like pincers, catheters, forceps, scalpels, lancets, specula, and cauteries. Later on, Western scholars followed his technique for centuries, like the use of cold sponge for pain reduction. Moreover, Muslim scholar Ibn Masawih wrote Muslim in Arabic and composed the earliest medical treatises on ophthalmology.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Noorazwani. Today, I will be continue my presentation about the fall of the Abbasid Kingdom. The Abbasid Kingdom has fallen during the Al-Wasiq Billah bin Al-Muqtazim at the 227 Hijri until 232 Hijri, equivalent to 842 Masihi until 847 Masihi. Other than that, this kingdom also has attacked by Mongol army. There are 6 of the factors about the fall of the Abbasid kingdom. Firstly is about the weakness of the Abbasid rule. Secondly is about the division of the territory under the rule of the Abbasid kingdom. Third is about power struggle. Fourth, about disputes over religious belief. Fifth is about economic downturn. And lastly is about external attack. The weakness of Abbasid rules is about the took place during the reign of Al-Wasiq, and he did not make any change and relied on Turkish officials to carry out the government policy inherited from his father. And secondly is about the division of territories and the rules of the Abbasid kingdom. At the 9th century of Masihi, the power of Caliphate was increasingly limited because position such as minister, governor, and military commanders were heavily held by Turkish and Parsi officials. This situation can cause the formation of its own territory such as At-Tahiriyah. Other than that is about power struggle. Power struggle is about the position of Caliph was seized and often changed. This phenomenon weakened the institution of the Caliph and gave the opportunity to the ministers and warlords from among the Turkish officials to act as a real rulers of the Abbasid government at that time. Fourthly is about economic downturn. Economic downturn is causing the fund of the Baitul Mal to deteriorate more than the allocation it required. This is because of the riots and insurrection often occurs, and traders do not want to trade and sell in the city of Baghdad. Fifthly is about dispute over religious belief. Disturbed by Shia and Khawarij group. This is because they believe that the position of the Caliph is among them, which is among Shia and Khawarij so as to affect the atmosphere, public order. External attack. External attack by enemy from the north, west and east. From this attack, this made the causing many thousand Muslim to be killed and their property confiscated by the enemy.